Oh, I know that sound. It's time for the Beer and News Report. Hi, and welcome to the Beer and News Report. Cheers. Today I'm drinking Hell's Lager by Gold Dot Brewery. Hell's means it's a German-style beer. I like lagers. This has a hint of a pale ale flavor to it, so I'm going to rate it good, but not great. And I'm drinking Hell's Lager because right now the Ukraine is in hell, and I wanted a beer to represent that. So here's to Ukraine. Cheers. If you've been watching the news, then you've probably seen the video of President Trump arguing with President Zelenskyy. If you haven't, here it is.
You're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. Right now, you don't. You're playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country.
President Trump wants mining rights to Ukraine as repayment for the money we gave it to support their defense in the Russian-Ukraine war. And President Zelenskyy, he wants security assurances because Russia has a history of breaking ceasefire agreements. So today's show is going to discuss why President Trump doesn't want to give these security agreements and what the future holds for, basically the European area in this Russian-Ukraine war, although it does extend outside of that area. So grab a beer, sit back, and enjoy the show. Cheers. The first question that you're probably coming to your mind is, why doesn't Trump want to give security agreements to the Ukraine? And to understand this, we kind of need to jump back to the Reagan era, and that's when the U.S. first started hinting that it's getting tired of policing the world. And have you ever been to a party and you're talking to a friend, and that, one friend says to the other, hey, why are we policing all these countries, going in and solving their problems? Why don't they police the world? Can't somebody else do it besides us? Well, it's now reached a point where the U.S., especially under President Trump, is saying, hey, we're no longer going to police the world. You guys got to start doing it. And that's a primary reason why President Trump doesn't want to give security agreements to the Ukraine. We're tired of policing the world. Yeah, there may be other reasons, but unless someone writes a tell-all book, I don't have that type of information. Now, President Zelenskyy has backpedaled a little, and he's now saying, you know what? I'm going to allow the U.S. to mine Ukraine's minerals. And this is without a security agreement. But why would he do that? Well, think about it. If the U.S. companies are entering, Ukraine, setting up industries and starting to mine the minerals, then if Russia attacks, it risks hitting a U.S. company. And that would force the U.S. to come in and intervene to protect its own interest. So in a way, it's a built-in security agreement, right? The more American companies that enter Ukraine, the stronger this security agreement is, because the likelihood of Russia hitting them goes up. Now, that if you think about it, it's not really that bad of an idea. U.S. companies will bring in money, right? And they'll create jobs for the Ukrainians, and that'll help bring the Ukrainians that left when the war started, it'll help them bring them back. And it's a quick way to rebuild your industries and add a layer of security for the country. Not bad, Zelenskyy. Now, what happens when the U.S. stops policing the world? Kind of already seen this in Europe, right? This is where the countries of Europe are starting to invest more and more in rebuilding their military industries. But how did they get so weak in the first place? After World War II, the United States hosted the Bretton Woods Conference in New Hampshire. And there, America told the world, we will police every war-torn country so that they can rebuild their industries without worry of being attacked. And this was called a peace dividend, and Europe took full advantage. That's why the best cars come from Germany, right? Because they didn't have to worry about military. They could just put money into that. France now has the biggest airline manufacturer, and the EU has the largest atomic collider called CERN. They focused their industries while the U.S. took care of security. Now with President Trump, the U.S. has decided it will no longer police the world. And Europe and other developed countries will have to rebuild their militaries. Now, historically speaking, a militarized Europe is a recipe for war. If you don't believe me, just check any history book. You'll see that there's tons and tons of wars. The real danger is, not only in Europe, but, like Japan and South Korea, they have the technology and the materials to build nuclear bombs. And let's be honest, if a country wants to guarantee its survival, there's no better way than doing that than having nukes. Even if it means using them is suicide, right? Yeah, cheers. I think it's safe to say that without U.S. stabilization, the world is becoming a more dangerous place. Right now, President Putin doesn't have to do anything. He doesn't have to be aggressive because President Trump is doing more damage than he ever could. One, he's pulling support from Ukraine. So that's going to hurt Ukraine unless Europe steps up. Two, the U.S. will most likely pull out of NATO. That's going to severely weaken NATO. And then three, there's a possibility that Trump, while he's trying to build relations with Russia, is going to cancel the sanctions, allowing Putin to rebuild his economy. So all Putin has to do is lay back and wait. Although this does have a time limit. Eventually, Europe will rebuild its military industry. And when that happens, Russia will be in a severe disadvantage. Now, Europe has more money, more people, more skills than Russia. And we've all seen what Germany can do when you give it time to rebuild its military. Now, there's another thing we got to bring up about Germany. They have this new, I don't know if it's a new party, but it's called AfD. It's an alternative for Germany. And it's a far-right political party gaining popularity. Now, AfD isn't neo-Nazi, but it's similar to it. And what's crazy is our own Vice President J.D. Vance and Elon Musk are supporting the AfD movement. It's like nobody remembers how World War I and World War II all started. As the saying goes, if you forget history, you're bound to repeat it. Yeah, cheers. All right, let's recap. 1, the U.S. is tired of policing the world. 2, support for Ukraine is dwindling. 3, the U.S. is most likely to pull out of NATO. 4, Europe, including Germany, will have to rebuild its military and do this quickly. 5, the far-right AfD is gaining traction in Germany, and it has U.S. support. 6, many developed countries, and this includes Europe, but also Japan and South Korea, they have the capability of building nuclear bombs. So my question to you is, does anyone see where this is going? I mean, anyone? Yeah, cheers. Well, as you can see, my beer is almost empty, and that means we're at the end of the show. If you want to reach me, I can be contacted at this email address. I hope you enjoyed the show, and if you did, please click that like button. If you want to be notified of new shows, click subscribe, and then the little bell icon next to it, and this will tell you when I posted a new show. Till then, keep your beer cold and your interest hot. Cheers.